Growing up, my family used to travel by car for vacations. Going from Phoenix to Denver could take 15 hours by car, or as all kids know it, forever. My job was to stay in the back seat, not pick on my sister, and quietly keep myself busy until we reached our destination. There's a way to make Java programs do something like this. The program for me in the car would be something like, while not in Denver, keep busy. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to continually run a Java block until some later condition, using the while loop. We are going to look at control statements that cause our Java application to repeat or loop. In this lesson, our goals are to understand the while and do while statements. We need to understand the difference between the two, and we'll touch upon infinite loops. And then we'll learn the difference between the keywords break and continue. A while statement says, do this block while the condition is true. It starts with the keyword while. The while loop has a condition immediately following the keyword. The condition is tested each time it runs the Java block, but it will not stop repeating the Java block until the condition becomes false. So if A is 6 and A never changes, this will repeat the block forever. On the other hand, if A is 4, the block will never run. Typically, there is code inside the Java block that causes the condition to change from true to false in order to stop the loop. For example, the condition might be, while there's more words to print, run the block. When you run out of words, stop. Let's look at the while loop in code. So what I've done here is created a little program that reports the temperatures of cool, whatever the temperature is, and then adds 1 to the temperature. If the temperature becomes too hot, it prints out temperature is not comfortable and stops. So we started at 21 Celsius, and while it's less than 30 Celsius, we add 1 degree. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, it prints out every temperature. Temperatures a cool 21, temperatures a cool 22, all the way up to temperature is a cool 29. When it hits 30, it says temperature is not comfortable and stops the while loop. Let's see what happens if we had a bad condition. Let's assume that maybe our temperature started out as 30. So in this case, we'll hit the while loop where temperature actually equals 30, and we'll see what happens. And it just prints out temperature is not comfortable. Nothing inside the while loop block was run. Now what happens if we decided that we still start at 21, but we never increment the temperature? What happens in that case? Well, we run it. And as you can see, it just keeps printing temperature is a cool 21 and it's not stopping. It's in an infinite loop. To stop the process running, we have to hit the stop currently executing build button, and that will stop the Maven part, but you'll probably have to go and kill the process on your computer. A do while statement says almost exactly the same thing. Do this Java block while the statement is true. It starts with the keyword do. Immediately following the keyword is a Java block to loop. After the Java block is a keyword while. And finally, after while keyword, we specify the condition to continue looping. This is all terminated with a semicolon. That's different from the other while loop. There was no need to terminate a statement since it ended with a Java block. Again, the condition tells Java when to stop repeating this Java block. Let's play with the do while in code. For our do while statement, our code looks almost identical. We start with a do, then we have our Java block, and then we do it while temperature is less than 30. So, starting at 21, let's run it and see what happens. And again, it prints out temperature is cool 21 down to 29, and then says the temperature is not comfortable. Now earlier we changed it to where we had a temperature of 30. In this case, our temperature's already met the criteria in our condition. So let's see what happens here. We run it and notice it prints out temperature's a cool 30, and then it prints out temperature is not comfortable. So with the do while, it ran this at least once before checking our condition. That's the difference between the do while and the while loop. Do while runs it once before checking, while checks before running it. And again, finally, let's see what happens if we do not increment our value and set it to 21. We run it, and again, we have to kill the process and exit out of it. You should easily spot the difference. When we ran the while statement, if the condition was false, the code never ran. The do while statement ran at least one time, even if the condition started as false. Most of the time, people use the regular while loop. The do while is rarely seen in Java code. Now, we saw what happens when the condition never changes to false. Like, if you forgot to increment the value, it runs forever, till the end of time, or until we get bored as we demonstrated earlier and just Control-C the program. Of course, that's not a good plan. We can't expect the user to Control-C every time they run the application. You never want to have an infinite loop. You always want a way out of your loop. We saw the keyword break in the last lesson. In the switch statement, breaks stop the case from falling through. Breaks cause a Java block to stop executing and move back to the enclosing block. It also stops the while loop. As far as Java is concerned, once it hits the break, we're done looping. When Java reaches the break statement, it breaks out of the loop. Any code inside the block after the break will not be run. Now, if we move the break to the top, the blue block wouldn't run here. The break stops it. Usually, there's some test inside the while loop. If you put the test at the beginning of the loop like this, it's the same thing as putting the test into your condition. So this is saying the same thing. Putting the test at the end of a while statement like this is functionally the same as the do while loop. That's why you don't see do while loops. You can just do this. A do while is more succinct, but this seems a lot more familiar. If you have true in your condition, you usually have something like this somewhere inside your while block. An example where you might do this is like a game loop. You keep running the game until you run out of lives. Then you break out to a title screen before you render the next frame in your game. Sometimes you want to stop the current iteration of the loop, but you don't want to stop looping. Continue stops the current loop and moves to the next iteration. Assume a equals 5 here. We'd run this block, but the second block would be skipped. It would continue looping. If it was a break, we'd stop looping. Okay, let's take a look at the difference between continue and break. Okay, first let's put in something like if temperature equals 23, break. So let's run it and see what happens. What happened is we went 21, 22, 23, and then it broke out of the loop. We didn't even get to 30. Okay, let's change our code to look like this. We're going to increment the temperature at the beginning of our loop. If the temperature is 23, we'll just continue. Otherwise, we'll print out the temperatures are cool, whatever the temperature is. Let's see what happens. We run it, and you can see that 23 is skipped over, but we continue looping up until 30, and then we break out of our while loop. So in this case, continued with the looping, it just stopped running the Java block for 23. So to recap break and continue, both will break you out of your current iteration of your loop. What happens next is the difference. Break breaks you out completely. You hit a break, you're done looping. Continue, we'll just move on to the next iteration of the loop. Alright, so that's the while loops. These are great for times where you don't know the total number of loop iterations. Next, we'll complete our look at Java fundamentals with the for loop. Then we'll move on to classes. See you in the next lesson.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. There's a quick quiz for this on dgu.com if you'd like to gauge how much you learned. If you like the videos you're seeing, please let me know by liking the video and hitting the subscribe button for the DGU channel on YouTube. I'd really appreciate that. If you have concerns or questions, please leave them in the comments below or on dgu.com. There's a poll on the front page of dgu.com, so you can also let me know what topic gets covered next. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.